غرباء 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 غرباء. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Alhamdulillah, Sheikh Abu Usamah has arrived safely. So if you're out of the main hall, if you'd like to make your way back, inshallah, brothers, just come as close as you can, inshallah. We're pleased to have our Sheikh with us, walillah alhamd. The Sheikh needs no introduction. I think everybody here knows who he is and what he's about. So, bi'ithnillah, we're going to benefit from this. And I'll pass it over to the Sheikh without any further delays, inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi wa kafa. Wa salawatullahi wa salamuhu ala nabiyyina al-Mustafa. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد. We deal with the issue that's been chosen to deal with, the topic of Fitnah. It is a broad and it is a very expansive topic. Many things have been mentioned concerning Fitnah in the Quran and in the authentic sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Personally, as a speaker, I try to be practical in giving da'wah to Allah. I don't want to be theoretical. Sometimes you have students of knowledge who are just that. They're serious students of knowledge. So therefore, the way that you teach them will be different than the way that you would teach the general Muslim public. What I don't want to do is I don't want to come here and give a bunch of technical definitions, concepts, and ideas, and what I'm saying doesn't resonate with you people, and you don't walk away feeling enlightened. You don't walk away feeling a level of enhanced iman, and you don't walk away feeling benefited. You want to be practical, and that's the da'wah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, to the point where one of his companions, Hamdala, and they called him Hamdala al-Ghasil because he was washed by the Malaika. Hamdala met Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, may Allah be pleased with both of them, and Hamdala said to Abu Bakr, I've become a hypocrite. Abu Bakr said, what do you mean you became a hypocrite? Why do you say that? He said, because when we are sitting in the presence of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's talking and he's describing things about the deen, it's as if I'm looking at the Jannah with my own eyes and I'm looking at the hellfire with my own eyes. And then when we separate from him and we go home and I deal with my wife and my children and my job, I don't feel the same way. My iman goes down. Abu Bakr said, I feel the same way. I feel the same way. And then they went to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and they told him the story. Prophet Muhammad told Hamdala sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ya Hamdala, if you and Abu Bakr and the rest of you people, if you had the ability to maintain that same level that you feel when you're with me in the masjid, talking about the Quran and the Sunnah and talking about aspects of your religion and being reminded, if you were able to maintain that same decorum, that same level of intensity, he said, verily, you people will have the ability to shake the hands of the Malaika while you're lying on your beds. And you will have the ability to shake the hands of the Malaika while you're walking down the streets. He said, but al-iman sa'atan wa sa'atan wa sa'atan. But iman, it goes up and down, up and down. The blessed month of Ramadan is going to come, inshallah, in 2 weeks. And what we feel in Ramadan is not what we feel outside of Ramadan. Our iman goes up. And when a person is afflicted with a problem, his closeness to Allah Azza wa Jalla as a result of that problem is not like his closeness to Allah Azza wa Jalla when things may be going very well. So what I want to extract from that statement about Hamdala is how when they were with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what the Prophet was saying, it resonated with them to the point where when they were away from them, away from him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they actually felt, am I a hypocrite? Why am I not feeling the same way when I was with him? So he used to speak words that the people could comprehend and understand. And we had that from Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Ali ibn Abi Talib. May Allah be pleased with them. For anybody who's here teaching, giving da'wah, both of them said words that are very important. حدثوا ناس على قدر أقولهم أتريدهم أن يكذبوا الله ورسوله. Talk to the people in accordance to the level of their understanding. Do you want the people to reject Allah and His Messenger? So people can be on a particular level of understanding. New Muslims, they may be Muslims who don't know a lot about Islam, or they may be from a certain maslak. You come into their place and you start talking about things that are from the religion, but they're not ready for that reality. So you shouldn't talk about those things. Like some of the names and attributes of Allah. Some people may have problems understanding that, so stay away from it. Where is the Prophet's mother and his father? Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Can't talk about certain issues because people are not ready for that. So in dealing with the issue of al-fitnah, I don't want to be too technical. But instead, I want to inspire, I want to encourage, and I want to benefit you guys. So in tackling this issue, I want to talk about a personality in al-Islam and a really important piece of advice in dealing with fitnah. First thing we want to mention though, before we open up that door, is what Allah mentioned in the ayat, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Allah made it clear in the Quran, verily we are going to نَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ al-bala. Al-bala, al-ibtila, it is a fitna. Al-ikhtibar, al-imtihan, all of these are synonyms. So just to break down fitna linguistically, you'll see how expansive the topic is if you just took the many ayat and ahadith where the words are interchangeable. So this ayat used the word al-ibtila, al-bala, to be tried. It's a fitna. So Allah said in this ayat, verily, we're going to try you people with a fitna. We're going to try you with something from fear, something of hunger. We're going to try you with something in the loss of wealth and lives and the loss of your produce, your efforts. He went on to mention subhanahu wa ta'ala, so give glad tidings to those people who, when the trial, the fitna, the affliction, when it hits them, they respond to it the right way. And one of the ways that they respond to it, one of the ways is by saying, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This young brother right here, that is a dua of the Quran that if he's worth his weight in salt, he should know that dua. The one right there, that little brother right there, between Umar and his dad, as a Muslim, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, is one of those ayat of the Quran and one of those statements of Islam that if you're a real Muslim, I don't say you're outside of Islam if you don't memorize it, but if you don't have that under your belt, then you are in a situation where you should be doing more. It's like Surah Al-Ikhlas, Qul huwallahu ahad. Everybody should know that. Everybody should know Surah Al-Fatiha. But this particular dua, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, it's like La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi. Who doesn't know that? So Allah said in this ayah, those people who when the fitna hits them, the test, the trial, when it hits them, they say, verily from Allah we come, and to Allah we will return. That's something that a Muslim should say when he's been tried. Now I want to share with you from this ayat an incident and touch on a few things. And there's a lot to say. And we want to deal with that and tackle it from the prism of a lady who is known by her kunya, and she's important to everybody here. Her kunya is Salama. Salama. Not Sulaim. May Allah be pleased with both of them. There's a companion, her name is Sulaim, the mother of Anas ibn Malik, one of the companions that narrated the majority of the hadith. I'm not talking about Sulaim, I'm talking about Salama. And by default, we're going to deal with her husband, who was known as Abu Salama. Salama, her name was Hind, the daughter of Abu Umayyah al-Makhzumi. So she was from Quraysh, and she was from the tribe of Quraysh called Bani Makhzum. That's the tribe that Umar came from. Quraysh has branches. Prophet Muhammad is from Bani Hashim, the best branch. Umar is from another branch, Bani Makhzum. She was from that tribe. Her husband Abu Salama, his name is Abdul Asad ibn Abdullah ibn Hilal al-Makhzumi. He's from the same tribe. These two people, especially Salama, they have some virtues. I have to mention this to you. Salama was a companion that has a lot of virtues. And this is where we say to the women of our community that you should know this lady's story for many reasons. Because it shows that women are not second-class citizens in our religion. They are not second-class citizens. And as this is going to unfold before you very clearly, she was better than many of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ in terms of virtues and status, her superiority. And that's for a number of reasons, her and her husband. From those reasons, very quickly, is that she preceded most people to al-Islam, and many people don't even know her. Salama and Abu Salama. The only people who preceded her to Islam, Abu Bakr, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Khadija, Fatima, only a handful of people. She was one of the first people to accept Islam, her and her husband. And she also performed hijrah twice, not once, twice. Now already before I explain that, the Muslim has to conjure up in his mind, how did she do hijrah twice? And they have to come to some conclusion, because you have to have some background about the history of your religion. How did she perform hijrah twice? She performed hijrah in that the first hijrah was from Mecca to Abyssinia, when they went to Ethiopia, and they met the king there, the Najashi. May Allah be pleased with him. And he has a palace in paradise, as the Prophet mentioned, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he protected the Muslims. And then after being in Ethiopia, they heard rumors that things had quieted down and things calmed down in Mecca. So the Muslims left Ethiopia and went back to Mecca, only to find that they were still being persecuted. So she made one hijrah. When they arrived in Mecca and they saw that the people were still being persecuted, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told the community, go to Al-Medina. And her and her husband went to Al-Medina. But listen, I don't have time to talk about her hijrah to Medina. I hope that you guys go back and you go over her hijrah to Al-Medina. Without any exaggeration, if you read what happened to her and her husband and her son Salama, may Allah be pleased with them, your hat may pop off your head out of the amazing level of taqwa and sabr and tawakkul that lady dealt with. And then compare that fitnah with your fitnah. I don't have time to go in that, but it is a story unto itself, just no time for it. So from her virtues is that she was one of the first Muslims, and those who believe first are not like those who believe second, like in this place right here. Right here. Whoever helped to build this place is not like the one who'll come 10, 15, 20, 30 years later, finding it already there, and then they inherit the activities and they get involved. Whenever you're on the scene and on the ground and you start something, you're not like the people who we call in America Johnny-come-latelys. It's not inherently bad that you're a Johnny-come-lately, but the people who were first are not like those people who came after, like our parents. First generation Muslims here, we owe a debt of gratitude to them. And that's why we always say to young brothers, yeah, our parents and the elders may not know much about Islam. They're on that cultural Islam. They're on khurafat and bid'ah. But take it easy and slow down. Those people came here and built these masjids. You think you're just going to come because we have some more technical knowledge, we should just take the masjid from them? No, it's a cooperative effort. Ala kullin, Allah mentioned, showing the virtues of Salama and other than Salama. وَمَنْ يَخْرُجْ مِنْ بَيْتِهِ مُهَاجِرًا إِلَى اللَّهِ وَرَسُولِهِ ثُمَّ يُدْرِكُهُ الْمَوْتِ فَقَدْ وَقَعَ أَجْرُهُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Anyone who leaves his house and he makes hijrah, and he dies in the process of making hijrah, before getting there, anyone who does that and he dies, verily his reward is with Allah. And many ayat tell us about the reward of the muhajir who died on his way and the muhajir who made it. A person leaves Pakistan, he leaves Africa, he leaves Palestine, wherever he's living, to go and find an opportunity to practice religion, to have a better, chance at life. It's not easy. It's not easy. Not back then and right now. It's not easy. So that's one of her virtues, is that she made hijrah. She made hijrah. There's a hadith where the Prophet says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, al-hijrah tahdimu ma kana qabluha. Anyone who makes hijrah, the hijrah will wipe away and erase whatever you did before your hijrah. She made 2. So if a person used to drink, he used to miss salat, used to do things back there, and then he made hijrah, hijrah is one of the many ways to get kafara for your sins. Another virtue, in addition to that, is what Allah mentioned in the Quran, was السابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. The vanguard of al-Islam, the first Muslims, was sabiqun al-awwalun, those first Muslims from the muhajirin who were in Mecca and the Ansar who were in Medina. And anyone who follows their way, the way that they were doing it, they will be pleased with Allah and Allah will be pleased with them. I see and I tell you, Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with all of the companions radiyallahu anhum. And from them, Salama. You, I don't know if Allah is pleased with you. Me, I don't know if Allah is pleased with me. Your relatives who died, I don't know if Allah is pleased with them, because that's from the knowledge of the unseen. But Allah in this ayat, He gives a tazkiyah, recommendation, stamp of approval on Salama radiyallahu anhum. Allah is pleased with them. And that's why when we hear the name of the companion, Abu Bakr and Uthman, any companion, what do we say when we hear their name? When we say their names? Radiyallahu anhu, because that's what we believe. So all of that shows some of the virtues of Salama. Now, Salama, when she finally caught up to her husband and made the second hijrah, her husband participated in the first war of al-Islam, the pinnacle war that is known as the War of Badr. The War of Badr, where the Muslims for the first time defeated Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl and Umayy ibn Khalaf. After all of those years of being persecuted in Mecca, the Islamophobia that they had to suffer from, all of those trials and tribulations in Mecca, when they moved to Al-Medina and the Meccans came and they met each other at Badr and the Muslims defeated them, Abu Salama participated in that. After the War of Badr, Jibril came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, Ya Muhammad, what is your opinion concerning the people from your companions who participated in the War of Badr? Prophet Muhammad said, Hum khayru ummati. They are the best of my ummah. Anybody who participated in the Battle of Badr is not like people who did not participate in the Battle of Badr. So as a Muslim, you have to understand, the best people from this ummah are the people who participated in the Battle of Badr. So Jibril, upon hearing that, he said, and also the malaika that participated in the Battle of Badr are the best of the malaika, because it was such an important war. So we have angels who are the best, Jibril, Mikael, Israfil, all of them, they were in that battle. And those companions who were in that battle, they're the best of this ummah. Abu Salama was from those people. And then a few years later came the Battle of Uhud, where the Muslims were winning, But some of the companions disobeyed the command of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they came off of the mountain. So the tables were turned and people were killed. One of the people that was wounded in the battle of Uhud was Abu Salama. He suffered a fatal mortal wound. He didn't die right away, but he eventually died. Prophet Muhammad came to his house sallallahu alaihi wasallam to visit him, and when he came, he made a dua for him while he was living. Again, the dua that he made for Abu Salama is a dua we need to share with our community. But I don't have time. He made that dua, and then Abu Salama died. When he died with his eyes open. Rasulullah told the people sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whenever a Muslim dies or a person dies, his soul leaves his body, and when his eyes open like that, his eyes follow. What's the reality of that? I don't know. What's the details of that? I don't know. Nor do you know. But the truthful one told us that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so we believe it. So he did his sunnah, and that was, he took his hands and he closed his eyes. So anytime you're around someone and that happens, that's what you should do. Before I go on, I want to tell you something special about Abu Salama. Abu Salama was Prophet Muhammad's brother, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as a result of a rada'a, suckling. We're Muslims, and we say we love the Nabi, and I believe we love him. But if we were to ask people about him, many people don't know anything about him. They don't know his names. They don't know a lot about him. But yet we do a lot of these things that really they are indications that, hey, this is not the way you show your love. But if you were ever asked, Abdullah, Prophet Muhammad had some brothers. And his brothers were his companions from suckling. From his brothers was his uncle Hamza. Hamza was his brother from suckling. From Prophet Muhammad's brother, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam, was Abu Salama and others. Abu Sufyan was his brother from suckling. He had a number of brothers. Him and Abu Salama, they were brothers. When Abu Salama died, the women in his household started to really act up because they loved Abu Salama. And here is a fitna right now. To lose someone that you love. Someone not that you just love because the virtue is your mother, your father. No. But based upon the fact this was a good person. You only saw good from him. You loved him. So they started to act up. They started to kind of get really uncomfortable. The Prophet ﷺ went to Salama, who is his sister-in-law, the husband's wife, his brother's wife. And he said to her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and this is the main part of my talk right now. He said, Ya Salama, he told this community, من أصابته مصيبة ثم قال ما أمره به ربه إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون اللهم آجرني في مصيبتي وأخلف لي خيرا منها. Listen, he said, Salama, if any Muslim is afflicted with any musibah, any fitna, ibtila, imtihan, ikhtibar, any Muslim who gets any fitna, any trial, and then he says what Allah commanded him to say in that ayat, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That's the first thing you have to say. And then you say, Allahumma ajirni. Oh Allah, give me the ajr in this musibah that hit me. Give me the reward of it. Wa akhlif li khayran minha. And replace it with what is better. Allah will give you better than that fitna. Now before I move on, as I told you, a fitna can be anything. It could be you lost someone. Your mother, your father, your daughter. I lost my wife's sister and the twins that were in her stomach. It's a fitna. You lost your car. You lost your job. You lost your eye. You've been told you have cancer. La samahallah. You got laid off. Whatever the fitna is. You got married. You got divorced. You got married. It's not the right person. Everybody sitting here, you have fitna. Everybody here. Whatever that fitna is If you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun, oh Allah, give me the reward of this fitna. Give me the reward. New Zealand was a fitna. Like you, I saw the man shooting people. It was surreal. The next day was Friday. That day was Friday. I told the people, I don't think I should give the khutbah. Because if I give the khutbah, I'm too upset. I'm going to say something, going to put me in jail. So I didn't even give the khutbah on that day. Because I was that upset. And I knew talking wouldn't have been good. How can Allah reward you with that fitna? And how can Allah replace what happened in New Zealand with what is better? And that's what Salama said. She said, Ya Rasulullah, how can Allah replace Abu Salama? And that's how she felt. At that moment, she wasn't thinking, how can Allah replace someone and give me someone better than Abu Salama? She knows as a companion that Abu Bakr is better than Abu Salama, Umar, Uthman, Ali, Abdurrahman ibn Auf, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas. Those 10 people who promised Jannah are better than Abu Salama, because the Prophet said they're the best of this ummah, those 10 people, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But at that moment, at the moment of the fitna, a person is not thinking. And this is important. I hope you people listen to me right now. When someone is going through something at that very moment, you have to take it easy and be gentle and easy with them, because their condition. When she said that, Prophet Muhammad didn't say to her, didn't I tell you Abu Bakr Uthman Ali was better? Why would you say that? He didn't say that. There was a lady who was at the grave of a dead person. Her mother, father, brother, sister, child, which goes to show women can go to the grave. She was on her knees at the grave of a dead person, relative, crying. Rasulullah came behind her and said to her, Isbiri wahtasibi, have sabr and get your reward. Without looking to see what I said, get away from me. You don't know what I'm going through. Get out of here with that. Prophet Muhammad didn't say, hey, I'm Rasulullah. That's kufr. You disrespected me. He looked at her situation and he left. First of all, he does know what you're going through. He knows what you're going through. He's Rasulullah. He knows about death and losing people. He taught us how to deal with it. He lost more people than you did. Lost his mother, his father, lost all of his sons, lost his wife Khadija, lost his companions. So what you're saying is not true. It's not true. And besides, he's telling you the truth. He's advising you the truth. What does that have to do with whether or not he knows what you're going through or not? He's telling you the truth. So whether he went through it or not doesn't have anything to do with the price of peanuts. But the Prophet walked away. Some people came and said, hey, you said that to the Nabi. Sallallahu. She said, oh no. She hurried up to him and said, Ya Rasulullah, I didn't know it was you. I'm sorry. And then he told her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, really important piece of advice for fitnah as well. He said, Innama sabr inda sudmatul ula. The best time to have sabr is when the fitna first happens. So when the thing happens, someone died, someone got shot, you had an accident, whatever, you lost your job. The time to have sabr is right at that moment. Don't have a knee-jerk reaction and just respond. Because if you do, you're going to say, you're divorced. And once you say you're divorced, it's out there. And it may be the third one. So fitna, take it easy. But the thing I want to draw your attention to is, it is not okay at funerals, at weddings. We see things that are going on that are not correct, and we want to put the best construction to them. It is not okay at a funeral to start arguing with people because you're trying to give dawah. They may be doing something wrong at their funeral or the wedding, but you don't want to spoil that occasion and be the one that the people remember you made trouble on that day. Prophet Muhammad let that lady go. So Salama said, Ya Rasulullah, who's better than Abu Salama? How many of you people are married in this audience? How many of you are married? Put your hand up if you're married. This is how we as husbands should want our wives to feel if we check out before our wives. If we die before our wives, we should want our wives to feel there's no man in this community or on this earth who can fill the shoes of my husband. That's how Abu Salama left his wife, saying, Who's better than him? No one can fill his shoes. Some of us are married, not us, but people are married where the partner is saying, oh Allah, get rid of this person I'm married to. But he made his wife feel no one can fill his shoes. So the Prophet said to her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Salama, just make the dua. The fact that you can't figure out how Allah can change this, replace it, it's not your business that you always understand everything about al-Islam, the qadr. Or why is it that the Muslims are on the haqq and we're suffering, but non-Muslims are doing? Why Palestine? Why Iraq? You may not understand. But you're practicing that thing or believing in it is not contingent upon you understanding. That's one of the reasons why believers are believers. You just make the dua. So she made the dua. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allahumma ajirni fi musibati wa akhlif li khayran minha. And he left. She did her ihdad. I'm going to say it, I want you to say it. Ihdad. Together. Not Sufi dhikr, but together. Ihdad. Good job. Ihdad. The ihdad is what the lady does when her husband dies. The idda is when the man divorces his wife. 3 periods. But the lady who her husband dies while they're married, she does ihdad. And that's the mourning period. 4 months and 10 days. Everybody else who dies, you have to mourn 3 days. That's it. So if the lady's mother dies, she mourns 3 days. Father, 3 days. Her child, 3 days. Her brother, sister, 3 days. But if her husband dies, 4 months and 10 days. You know why? Because of the haqq that the husband has over the wife. What's the meaning you only can mourn 3 days? Meaning you may be incapacitated for 3 days. You can't talk, you can't eat, you can't move. But after 3 days, you got to tie your shoes up and get on with life. You'll still be sad after 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You look at the door, you think your dad going to come to the door. But the husband, 4 months and 10 days. She doesn't go to the nikah. She doesn't go to the aqiqah. She doesn't go to the walima. She doesn't go out if she can help it. She should stay in her house out of respect to her husband. So any woman who is married, she needs to consider this. There was a lady wanted to complain to the Prophet about her husband, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet Muhammad said, listen, before you start talking, I want you to consider, your husband is your Jannah or your Nar. You can go to Jannah or Nar depending upon how you deal with your husband. That's not Islam putting pressure on the woman. She has an oppressive husband who's a problem, a monster. And Islam is saying she has no rights. No. But it's saying that's a fitnah that Allah has given you, being a wife. Whether your husband is good or not good, religious, irreligious. 4 months and 10 days, your husband is a fitnah. And your wife is a fitnah as well. So after the 4 months and 10 days were done, the Prophet came, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, said, Salama, I would like to marry you. She was shocked because it never dawned on her Prophet Muhammad wanted to marry her when he said to her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just make the dua. Allah changed better than Abu Salama. Who's better than Abu Salama? After her ihdad, he came and said, I would like to marry you. She was shocked. Never dawned on her the possibility of it. Rasulullah, she was shocked. And then she started to offer some excuses. Or not excuses, but she started to let him know about what she perceived as her faults before marriage. Ya Rasulullah, I'm an old woman. He said, I'm older than you, Salama. Ya Rasulullah, I have a lot of children. She only had 4 children. Salama, a boy, Umar, a boy, Durra, a girl, and Zainab. Rasulullah said, I have more children than you, and I'm responsible for the children of the whole ummah. I'm responsible for your children and everybody else's children. That's not an excuse. I'm responsible for everybody's children. Even the children who didn't come, I'm responsible for them. Allah mentioned in the Quran, فَكَيْفَ إِذَا جِئْنَا مِنْ كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ بِشَهِيدٍ وَجِئْنَا بِكَ عَلَى هَؤُلَاءِ شَهِيدًا. Ayat in Surah An-Nisa, Ya Muhammad, how is it going to be when we bring a messenger, and he will be a witness and a responsible person for all of his ummah. And we're going to bring you, Yawmul Qiyamah, as mas'ul for your whole ummah. Rasulullah is responsible for her kids, my kids, your kids, and everything else. She said, okay, Ya Rasulullah, I'm a jealous woman. Prophet Muhammad made dua for her. Allah, take away her jealousy. Allah, take away her jealousy. Now, before I deal with that, I have to say real quickly, how many of you are not married? Put your hand up. You're not married. This of what Salama did shows her level of taqwa and her virtues, and that before getting married, she told her potential husband, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, her shortcomings. You guys have to be wary about marrying to a family and a girl. Everybody's going to give you their best face. My wife, his wife, everybody. But that ain't always the reality. Just like you give them the best face, and that ain't always the reality. You have to be truthful. You have to let them know, hey, I take a lot of medication and I have, mental illness. You have to let them know, hey, listen, I have alopecia. This is not really my hair. You need to know I have alopecia. When we go home, you see my head, I got a bald head. Because if she gets home, or he gets home, and he sees it with a bald head, he's going to say, wow. And that happened with a companion lady. Her mother came and said, Ya Rasulullah, our daughter got married today, and we want to put on her head a baruka, a wig, to hide it. And the husband find out later. Prophet Muhammad said, no, can't wear a wig in Islam. Let her go with how her hair is so he can know what he's dealing with. And that's why in Islam we get to see the girl. But Abu Salama was saying to him, I have this, I have this, I have this, I have that. Some people hide their problems that are serious. Has a STD, STI. Can't hide that stuff. Mental problems, impotence, whatever. You have to tell people. So when she said, I'm jealous, then Nabi made dua for her. And I just want to go forward very quickly, man. The time is just flying. But look how Allah took the jealousy away. One of the biggest fitnahs during the time of the Prophet, he didn't escape fitnah himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, Inna ashadda nas bala'in al-anbiya. The people who get the biggest fitnah are the prophets. Prophets get more fitnah than you and me. As for us, Allah will give people trials based upon the level of their deen. La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Prophet Muhammad had fitnah. Lost his sons. His companions were killed. He got kicked out of his city. People were trying to kill him. They were saying so many things about him. He used to get sick. His sickness was double everybody else. He had a lot of trials. A lot. One of the biggest fitnahs that he went through was what is called qissat al-ifk. Anybody know what that means? Qissat al-ifk. It's when the people said our mother, his wife Aisha, committed adultery. That's a story you have to go back and read. They were traveling and she went and left the crew, the Jamaat, to answer the call of nature. They thought that she was inside of her hodij that they were carrying, and the army got up and left, and they left her behind. And the Prophet had a companion who used to come and follow to make sure no one lost or left anything. And when he came, he found Aisha was left. The army left her. When he saw Aisha, the mother of the believers, Rasulullah's wife, and the army was gone, you know what he said? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This is a fitna, a musibah. Prophet Muhammad's wife has been left. I don't have time to go into details of that. But when he brought her to Medina, everybody already arrived, and here the two of them come in broad daylight together. When the people saw that, especially the hypocrites, they started to say they're having an affair. Aisha, the most beloved woman to Prophet Muhammad, is having relationships with this man. He was religious and she's the mother of the believers. So it's a long story, but we're talking about the jealousy of Salama. Prophet Muhammad, not knowing the ilm al-ghayb, he came to Salama and said, you hear what the people are saying. You see this fitna. What do you think? What do you have to say about Aisha? She was jealous before. Ya Rasulullah, I have a lot of kids. I'm old. And jealousy. You have other wives. I'm jealous. She could have said, Ya Rasulullah, one day I saw her walking and I didn't know why she was walking. And it's true, she was walking and she just disappeared. She could have threw something in there. She said, Ya Rasulullah, ahmi basri wa sam'i wa lisani. Wallahi ma alimtu anha illa khayra. I'm going to protect my ears, my eyes, and my tongue. Wallahi, I don't know anything about her except good. She could have threw something in there. Like some of our relatives do when they get a chance. They don't defend us the way they should defend us. A brother, he should defend you. He's not going to say you did it because he doesn't have proof, but he'll throw a curveball in there, throw some salt in there to make a suggestion. If she was a jealous person, this was her opportunity. Well, I did see her one time walking by herself. I was wondering, why is she over there by herself? And you were traveling at that time. Because the Prophet made dua for her and he took it out. And look at the ayah, because this is the point I'm trying to make about the fitnah. Allah revealed in this issue of the Qissat al-If when he said in the Quran concerning it, إن الذين جاءوا بالإفك عصبة منكم لا تحسبوه شر لكم بل هو خير لكم. Verily those people who brought this accusation, Muhammad, they are a group of your community. Don't think it's bad what they did, this fitnah. Don't think it's bad, but instead it is better for you. Now this is important. I have to stop here. Don't think it's bad, but it is better. It's good in it. What's good in someone accusing the Nabi? This fitnah. And that's the point. If someone suffers from a fitnah, there's benefit in that fitnah. There's benefit in getting laid off. There's benefit in getting a car accident. Even if you ran someone over, hasha lillah, la samahallah. You ran someone ran someone over and killed them accidentally. There's some good in that. But do you know the good? You may not know the good right now, but you'll know it later at some point. So how this one hadith tells you the dua, Allah will change your fitnah for good. He'll give you reward for it and give you better if you make the dua. The second ayah said that fitnah is good for you. Don't think it's bad for you. How is it good? Well, it's good in that we know you shouldn't accuse people when you don't have proofs. It's good for you in that you know that the people who talk about this, that's the clear munafiq. If people are talking about that, you know he's a munafiq. Because the hypocrite, you don't know. He's saying he's a believer, but you don't really know. But if he's saying that happened, then he is a hypocrite. Many goods, many benefits. So the Prophet married her, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So listen, there are two ayahs, one hadith that I just told you. If you learn the dua of the fitnah when it hits you, if you learn that dua, Allah will reward you for the fitnah because you did that dua. Number two, He'll give you something better than what you lost. This hadith goes to show the fitnah is not all bad. It has benefit in it. Another ayah, so that there be no doubt. كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ وَهُوَ كُرْهٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَى أَن تَكْرَهُوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ وَعَسَى أَن تُحِبُّوا شَيْئًا وَهُوَ شَرٌ لَكُمْ وَاللَّهُ يَعْلَمُ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Fighting, jihad, has been prescribed upon you, and it's something that you don't like. And it's possible that something may be good for you and you don't like it. And something may be bad for you and you like it. Allah knows and you don't know. So we want to do things and we want to accomplish things, and sometimes we don't get it and we get upset and we get mad. Don't be like that. That thing didn't come your way, it may be better that it didn't come your way. That you didn't stay married. That you didn't marry her. That you lost that job. It may be better. When it comes to the fitnah, the point is, the fitnah is not inherently all evil and negative for the. It may be that you hate something that is good for you. And it may be that you like something that is bad for you. That lady you want to marry, she's a problem for you. She's going to be a problem for you and your mother. She's going to be a problem for your future children. Look what happened a few weeks ago. I'm sure you guys are aware. Did you hear about that airplane that crashed in Ethiopia? That brand spanking new state-of-the-art airplane. It crashed. There was a white guy who was supposed to be on that flight. For one reason or another, he missed the flight. When he got to the airport, and I'm a person who travels a lot, it's a terrible feeling to feel when you miss the flight. Terrible feeling. You get to the airport. He got to the airport. He was livid, upset. He was upset. And they didn't want to let him get on the plane because the doors had closed. They did all of the stuff that said you can't get on the plane. But he was saying the plane didn't leave. They would let me get on the plane. They didn't let him on the plane. The plane took off and he was upset. You can imagine. And then the plane crashed. And all of those people died on board. How do you think he felt? That's a question. How do you think he felt? He was relieved. When he missed the plane, he was upset. But when the final result of that plane crash happened, he was happy and relieved. And there's an ayat that speaks to this point like the previous ayats that I'm bringing to your attention. ما أصاب من مصيبة في الأرض ولا في أنفسكم إلا في كتاب من قبل أن نبرأها إن ذلك على الله يسير لكي لا تأسوا على ما فاتكم ولا تفرحوا بما آتاكم والله لا يحب كل مختال فخور. Remember this ayah. There is no fitna, no musibah, no problem that happens to you in this earth. Iraq, Syria, tsunami. There's no musibah that happens in this whole earth or it happens in you individually. Anything that hits you, anything, except that it was already written in a book that is with Allah. It's the qadr. It's already written. It's not going to miss you. What was written for you is not going to miss you. And what wasn't written for you is not going to hit you. So this ayah said, every musibah in this earth is written with Allah, with a book that it was Him, and it is easy for Allah. So that you people, when something misses you that you wanted, you don't become upset and give up hope and become angry with Allah. And when something hits you, and when you get something that you wanted, you don't exalt and go overboard. Yeah, I got my degree because I'm smart. No. It missed you because of the qadr of Allah. You got it because of the qadr of Allah. So the point here is, there are a number of ayat and a number of ahadith that go to show, as Muslims, what we have to do is, we shouldn't look at fitnah, trials and tribulations, as being all bad from every angle. This brother has fitnah. I got fitnah. You, everybody. Everybody. So now I have to stop, but real quickly, I want to just share something with you very quickly. New Zealand was a fitnah. What's the benefit in that? What's the benefit in that? It's a lot of benefit in New Zealand. It's a lot of benefit in the World Trade Center and what happened. I don't endorse that. I don't condone that. I'm not clapping and glorifying that. But do you people know, since the World Trade Center, that thing happened, more people came into Islam than any other religion? How? Why? More people started to want to know, what is this Islam? When that thing happened in New Zealand, did you see the response of the New Zealanders, the non-Muslims, and the support that they gave to our community, coming out, standing in solidarity, doing the opposite of what that racist man was trying to accomplish? Even as I speak now, people from New Zealand who were athletes and famous people, they came into this religion. They came into this religion. Now, we shouldn't wait for these opportunities to get dawah and spread. No, I'm just saying. There's no fitnah that happens in this earth. Nothing. No fitnah. Except that in that fitnah, there's going to be benefit in that thing. So the Muslim doesn't look at it like, oh, this is all bad from every angle. No. He has to have sabr. He has some things that he should do, he should say. Now, where is the benefit in my sister-in-law dying while giving birth to 2 twins and all 3 of them die? Where's the benefit in that? Well, my wife, just say the dua. Say the dua. From the benefit is, Those children will be a hijab from that mother, or for that mother, Yawm al-Qiyamah. Those children will be a hijab for the dad, Yawm al-Qiyamah. Maybe the mother is going to go into Jannah without any adhab, without any hisab. It's always some benefit, whether you can see it or not. So this is the first thing that I wanted to mention, the first lesson that I wanted to depart with people who are listening right now. Our sisters who are downstairs, she's divorced and she has 3, 4, 5 kids. She got to take care of a single parent. She has to pick them up from school. She has to drop them off from school. She has to get the money. She has to manage. She has to have no help from the husband. That's a fitnah. That's a fitnah. Ibtila. She should never say, why me, Ya Allah? Where's the rahmah? Woe is me. Nope. And that is something that is going to bring immense benefit. And the Muslim, he has to also realize and understand, as I mentioned the ayah earlier, Allah doesn't test the person beyond his ability or beyond his scope. Doesn't test the person beyond his ability. So whatever fitna you're dealing with, we're going to have the ability and the wherewithal to deal with that. So this is the first thing that I want to mention to you brothers and you sisters, in the way of some of the etiquette of comprehending and dealing with fitna in a practical way. Number 1, it's not all bad. Number 2, just say the dua. You got to learn that dua. Everybody knows, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Now all you have to do is memorize, Allahumma ajirni fi musibati wa akhlif li khayran minha. Oh Allah, give me the ajr of this musibah, this fitna, and replace it for me with that which is better. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى التوفيق والسداد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. So in the previous lecture we talked about how diverse and how deep the concept of fitna is in al-Islam. So the ulama of al-Islam came and wrote books where they broke down the different aspects of al-fitn and so forth and so on. So there's just a lot to be said. Al-Imam Ibn Kathir rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi has a book, he called it Al-Fitn wal-Malahi, in which he delves into the details of what the Quran and the Sunnah is talking about al-fitn. I mean, so many ulama of Islam to sit here, to run their names off in the books that they wrote, wouldn't be that much of benefit to this type of crowd, but you should register it in your head, and it should resonate with you that getting fiqh and understanding about fitna is an important obligation for the Muslim. So the companions used to come to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they used to ask him about the different fitn. And he was on his knees, and they were sitting in front of him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he said, "Inni ara al-fitn tatasaqat ala suqufikum kama yasqut al-matar." He said, I see the fitn, the trials and tribulations, falling on your homes. As I'm looking over Medina, the fitn is falling on your homes in the same way that raindrops fall down on your homes, showing how they're always fitn, and they're going to get worse and more as Yawm al-Qiyamah begins. So there is a level of responsibility that the Muslim has as it relates to al-fitn. A lot of things we need to know. A lot. So everybody, as we mentioned earlier, they have a fitn. He said a man has a fitn in his neighbor. Is a fitna. His wife, fitna. His riding animals, car is a fitna. All of that. His money and his children are fitnas. And he said, "Tukaffiruha as-salat was-sawm." But the way you save yourself from those fitn is that you pray 5 times a day and you fast in the month of Ramadan. But there is that fitn of the dunya that we have to deal with all the time. And I think those were the fitn that the brothers wanted me to come in to talk to you about. And although that is important, The issue is just so vast that I wanted to share with you what I shared with you a few minutes ago about that one dua, that you should go back to that book that's in everybody's house, and it's called The Fortress of the Believer, that small book with the dua. You guys know the book I'm talking about. You go to that book, you go to the table of contents, and you see where it says the dua for an affliction that hits you. And an affliction doesn't have to be a major thing. You lost a limb or something like that. But a fitnah could be anything. Like Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, being left by the army. It's a fitnah. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be real big. But obviously the bigger the thing is, the more important it is that we know this dua and we inculcate it in our everyday lives. Coming to the second issue, again, I want to deal with something that I perceive as being pertinent, relative, and right here in our faces. And it's important as well. Concept that I want you brothers to buy into and to understand about the fitnah. I would think that Al-Ustad Abu Abbas Naveed mentioned this issue that I'm going to mention now as it relates to this ayat, where Allah Azza wa Jalla told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and told this community of Muslims, starting with the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, when he said, Al-fitnatu ashaddu min al-qatl, fight the mushrikeen, waqtuluhum haythu thaqiftamuhum, wa akhrijuhum mahaythu akhrajukum, wal fitnatu ashaddu min al-qatl. Fight against the polytheists, your enemies. So wherever you find them, then slaughter them. And when they expel you, then you expel them as well, because they expelled Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Muslims from the Kaaba. And the Kaaba is the first house that was placed in the earth for the establishment of the worship of Allah. And the Muslims had more right to worship there, but the non-Muslims were in control of the place, so they kicked the Muslims out. So Allah is telling them, go back there and take over that Kaaba and kick them out, expel them. And the first part of the ayat, kill them wherever you find them, is not talking about sanctioning just wholesale killing and murder. So we have to make that clarification today, because number one, we have people who hear those ayats and they misunderstand them and they practice them the wrong way. And number two, your words go out and you have the enemies of Islam from the newspaper and other than that who want to take your words out of context. So those ayats, they have a context and they have a backdrop and a background. The ayat went on to say that fitnah is worse than murder. Fitnah is worse than murder. The meaning of fitnah in this ayat is talking about ash-shirk and kufr. Fitnah, ash-shirk is worse than murder. There's a hadith of a man who killed 99 people and then he killed one more man, making it 100. And Allah forgave him for what he did. Allah will forgive any and every sin, but He won't forgive a shirk. He'll forgive a person who does other crimes and sins. Whatever you can think of. I don't say whatever you can think of, because some sins that people do, they're like kufr and shirk. But things like drinking, getting high, fornicating, all of these things, Allah will forgive any and everything, as long as the slave, when he meets Allah, Yawmul Qiyamah, when he meets Allah, he didn't make shirk with Allah. قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. Tell them, Ya Muhammad, O you servants of Allah, don't give up hope and don't despair from the rahmah of Allah. Allah forgives any sin, every sin, except that you don't make shirk with Him. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَغْفِرُ أَن يُشْرَكَ بِهِ وَيَغْفِرُ مَا دُونَ ذَلِكَ لِمَن يَشَاءُ. Allah will not forgive that you make shirk with Him, but He'll forgive any and everything other than that. So Allah will forgive homosexuality. Allah will forgive that. If a person was doing that, it's a major crime, a major sin, major indiscretion. But if he dies doing that, and he believes in La ilaha illallah, Allah will forgive him. He may have to go to the hellfire, he may not. That's up to Allah. So the only sin that Allah won't forgive is a shirk. And he said that a shirk is fitnah. Wal fitnatu ashaddu min al qatl. Shirk is worse than murder. So unfortunately in our community, we look at things like drinking sharab, homosexuality, getting high, gambling. We look at that as being really, really bad. And it is. But we don't look at a shirk as being greater than that. We don't look at not praying as being greater than that. Homosexuality is not worse than not praying. Not praying is worse than homosexuality in Islam. So my point here is about a shirk. When we talk about fitnah and fitan, the plural, the greatest fitnah is shirk. It's the greatest one. And we have relatives who their Islam is steeped in shirk and kufr. The man makes the adhan, and when the mu'adhin comes to Ashhadu anna Muhammadur Rasulullah, some of our people twist their thumbs and do like this with their eyes. Have you people seen that before? You ask them why. They say, whoever does this won't go blind. But the Prophet had a mu'adhin, Ibn Abdul Maktoum, radiallahu anhu. He was a mu'adhin and he couldn't see. The ayat Abasa wa tawalla in ja'ahu al-a'ma was revealed because of him. The Prophet frowned and turned away because the blind man came to him, his mu'adhin. Prophet Muhammad never taught him that. Some of us believe our relatives, Rasulullah is hazir nazir. He's everywhere all the time. He knows everything. He didn't die. All of these issues. So this is the real fitnah. When we talk about the fitnah of the university, fitnah of the drug dealers, fitnah of Xbox and the internet, fitnah of social media, all that's fitnah, no doubt. But the greatest fitnah that we should be most concerned with as parents, as the imam in the mosque, as brothers, is this fitnah of shirk. Today, I want to share with you something really important, especially you younger brothers, all of you. In our religion, there is a tremendous hadith. I want you to remember this for the rest of your life. It is a principle in Islam that goes to show the mercy of Allah, the wisdom of Allah, the rahmah of al-Islam, the appropriate way that Islam is. This principle is important. And it was narrated by one of the companions who was a younger companion, Abdullah ibn Abbas. He was Prophet Muhammad's cousin, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And when Prophet Muhammad died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Ibn Abbas was only about 16 years old. Many people think he was some old man because of his knowledge. He was a young man, which goes to show young people have a role to play in society in the masjid. He narrated this hadith, and it's in Bukhari and Muslim, the asl of the hadith. The Nabi said, listen to this principle. If people were to be given in accordance to their mere claims, someone comes and says, this is mine. And just because I claim that this is mine, if I was to be given this just because I claimed it, then people would claim the blood, the lives, and the property of other people. And then he went on to say, وَلَكِنْ الْبَيِّنَةُ عَلَى الْمُدَّعِي وَعَلَى مَنْ أَنْكَرَ الْيَمِينَ. He said, but the onus of proof and the burden of proof is upon the one who makes the claim. And the one who the claim is being made against, all he has to do is say, Wallahi, that's not true. Now this hadith is a principle, and we're going to bring it back. How does it connect to the fitnah? That phone, I never saw it in my life. I don't know who it belongs to. I come and I say, that's mine. Now if I were to be given just because I made that claim, then I'll claim this. I say, that boy, that's my son. And just because I said he's my son, I get him. And then I sell them off to people who buy children. That's my camera. This property is mine. I just make that claim. I have to bring the proof. I have to bring 2 witnesses who can prove that that's mine. I have to bring the receipt to show I brought this. And the numbers on the phone, they correspond with the number and so forth. You have to prove it. The burden of proof is upon the claimant. And upon the one who is in opposition, he doesn't have to prove that's his phone. All he has to do is say, Wallahi, you're lying. Wallahi, it's not yours. Wallahi, it's mine. The burden of proof is upon me to prove it. Now, if it wasn't like this, again, you could just say, that lady, she committed zina. And as a result of that, she gets stoned to death. He stole it. He's a thief. As a result of that, chop his hand off. And unfortunately, this is one of the big problems in the Muslim world, like peace, especially in South Africa and other places. If someone has been accused of stealing in the marketplace, like in Kenya, they'll say, Mwizi, a thief. And he has to start running. They'll come and take a tire, the rubber part, and throw it over you, put kerosene on it, and light you alive. And the Muslims just get involved. I don't know if you guys saw in Afghanistan that had happened to a lady. They said a few years ago that this lady was cursing the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. And they beat her to death. And people didn't know what happened. They just got involved. What? She cursed the Prophet. What? And they got involved and started dropping rocks on her head. And she never said that. She went into a place where they were worshiping people in the grave, and she was telling them, you can't do this, it's not from Islam. She wasn't a sheikha, she was just telling them something. Hey, Muslims, you can't do this. The guy who was running that place got upset because that's his money, his livelihood. And he was the one who said, she cursed the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And lo and behold, our community, because we don't have fiqh about how to deal with WhatsApp and how to deal with messages that come to you. All of this fake news. The Muslim has to know how to deal with things. Unfortunately, in our community and in our lives, in our relationships, when this principle works for us, we understand it. But when it works against us, we don't understand it. And this is what I want to deal with as it relates to fitnah. I'll give you an example how we understand it. I think all of you know George Bush Jr., the former POTUS. You know what a POTUS stand for, right? President of the United States, man. George Bush, the younger one, not the older one. When he was the POTUS, he said that Iraq, Saddam Hussein, that they had WMDs. You know what WMDs stand for? Weapons of mass destruction. These Iraqis, Saddam Hussein, he has these weapons. They can blow up everybody, kill everyone. We got to do something about it. So Tony Blair and other countries in Europe, they say, yeah, we have to do a preemptive strike. And they went in Iraq and they killed over 1 million people. And to this day, Iraq has not recovered from that decision. And the whole dynamic of the Middle East has been changed since that. Iraq has led to Syria and all of this stuff that we see today. It started back then. It just didn't start right now. It's the genesis of what we find out today. The whole world has changed. And then they found out there were no weapons of mass destruction. Only a few countries didn't get involved, like Canada and other countries, only a few. But look what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. If people were given according to their mere claims, George Bush, then people would claim the blood and the lives and the property of other people. And that's what happened. And all of us can appreciate that. They killed all of those Iraqis. They're taking the oil to this day, right now. The blood, the property, the lives. There's not a single Muslim who can relate to that reality. How that hadith shows what happened in Iraq. It's sensitive and we don't like it. And you can understand the principle. But when it comes to us and how we practice and apply Islam, when we make claims and how we deal with people, for some reason, it's a bit difficult. And this is what Allah warned us about the fitna of the Yahud and the Nasara. The Yahud and the Nasara, they have a religion where they make a lot of claims. They make a lot of claims. And the Quran dealt with the catalog of claims that they made, plethora of claims that they made, where Allah challenged them And the Prophet came and challenged them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that a mere claim without proof is a problem. Just very quickly, and there are many, I'm not going to do all of them, but very quickly. وَقَالُوا لَن تَمَسَّنَا النَّارُ إِلَّا أَيَّامًا مَعْدُودًا قُلْ أَتَّخَذْتُمْ مِنْ اللَّهِ عَهْدًا فَلَنْ يُخْلِفَ اللَّهُ عَهْدًا أَمْ تَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And they say, if we do go to the hellfire, we won't be in the hellfire except for a few days. We'll be there for a few days. Allah told the Prophet ﷺ, tell them, do you have a promise from Allah? You have a contract from Allah that this is the truth? Because Allah doesn't break His promise. Or are you saying about Allah what you don't know? That's Allah negating that claim. So what they said during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, they said, look, if we go to the hellfire, well, first of all, we're not going to the hellfire. But if we do go, we'll only be there for a few days. Everybody else, you're going to be in there forever. We'll be in there for a few days. And you made shirk. And you killed people. And you killed the prophets and the messengers. And you did all this drama. What you doing in the world? Right in Palestine right now. They said, that's my land over there. The house that belongs to the Palestinian men for generations. They said, Allah in the Bible, it said that's our land. That's a claim. There's proof of that. You're just going to take the people's land because of a claim? That's an example of a claim that they made. That Allah said, no, you're just making it clear. A claim. Another ayat, He says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَقَالُوا لَنْ يَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةَ إِلَّا مَنْ كَانَ هُودًا النَّصَارَى تِلْكَ أَمَانِيُّهُمْ قُلْ هَاتُوا بُرْهَانَكُمْ إِن كُنْتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. They say, the Jews say, only Jews will go to the Jannah. The Christians say, no, only Christians will go to Jannah. Allah said, this is their wishful thinking. This is their wish. Say unto them, give us your proof if what you're saying is true. That's Allah's way of saying, that's just a claim. And it doesn't make sense because the Jews over here, they don't believe in Jesus. And they're saying they're going to Jannah. The Christians over here have a different dawah. They believe in Jesus, say He's the Son of Allah. They have different dawahs, but both of them are making the same claim. It doesn't make any sense. Maybe if they were on the same thing and they were making the same claim, but they're doing totally opposite things. And both of them saying that they're going to Jannah. It's a fitnah. When you exist with those kind of contradictions. Allah said, where's your proof for what you're saying? Where's your proof? It's another example. And there are many, 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 many about Ibrahim. About Ibrahim. Allah Ta'ala asks the question, Ya Ahlul Kitab, lima tuhajjuna fi Ibrahim, wa ma unzirat at-Tawrat wal-Injil illa min ba'dihi. Jewish and Christian people, why are you arguing about Ibrahim? The Torah that was given to Musa and the Injil that was given to Isa, they were not revealed except after Ibrahim. So the Yahud were saying Ibrahim is a Jewish person, and the Christians are saying Ibrahim is a Christian. How can he be a Jewish person or a Christian when he came before your prophets? They both making the same claim, although it's not possible. Ibrahim wasn't a Jew, wasn't a Christian, he was Hanif, he was a Muslim. And there are many ayahs like that. Now is not the time to give you all those ayahs. وَقَالُوا نَحْنُ أَبْنَاءُ قَالُوا نَحْنُ أَبْنَاءُ اللَّهِ وَأَحِبَّاؤُهُ. They say, we're the sons and the beloved of Allah. Allah said, then why does he punish you? So the point here is making claims. In our religion, we are people who we're not allowed to make claims that we can't back up and we can't support. Don't be a person who you're making claims about the deen, you're making claims about the dunya, you're making claims about people, you're making claims about things that you don't have the ability to prove. And it may be true what you're saying or what you're accusing someone of. But if you don't have the proof, then you shouldn't make the claim. It's a fitnah, as you're going to see. And it's something that we just take as being normal part of our lives, especially with social media and this generation that we're dealing with, these millennials. Big problem. Look what Allah said in our religion. وَالَّذِينَ يَرْمُونَ الْمُحْسَنَاتِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَأْتُوا بِأَرْبَعَةِ شُهَدَاءَ فَاجْلِدُوهُمْ 80 جَلْدَةً وَلَا تَقْبَلُوا لَهُمْ شَهَادَةً أَبَدًا وَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. Any person who accuses a Muslim lady of doing zina, and you don't produce 4 witnesses who saw everything, not heard, they went in the room, no, you saw everything. 4. You and 3 other people, you got to be 4. You saw everything, not heard, not thought. They went into that house that's known for that, not that. You saw it. Allah said, anyone who accuses a Muslim woman of doing something like that, and they don't produce 4 witnesses, then you should flog them 80 times, 80, and never take their shahada, ever. And they are the ones who are the evildoers. So if a person does this, and he doesn't bring the proof, you want to get married, he can't be one of your witnesses. If they want to bring him to you by default, you have put yourself outside of the loop of being a witness. That's our religion. That when you make a claim, you have to be able to prove that thing. Especially when it comes to our deen, to our religion. Shirk and kufr. What's the sunnah? So in this city of Nottingham and other cities, we have the people who make claims. He's a kafir. He's a Muslim, but for one reason or another, he doesn't judge by what Allah revealed. This whatever. I say he's a kafir. It's a claim. He's an innovator. It's a claim. He's this, he's that. In our religion, you can't be like that. You can't do stuff like that in our religion. Now, why am I mentioning this? And what's the connection to fitnah? The reason why I'm mentioning this is because, number one, you do know what today is, right? You guys know what today is, right? With these non-Muslims, I mean. You know, right? What's today? It's Easter Sunday. Easter Sunday. If I sit in this masjid, I'm going to make a claim right now. And my claim is, you young people, if you obey and respect and honor your mother and your father, wallahi, you're going to go to Jannah, inshallah. Because Allah promised that, and the Prophet promised that, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I can prove that. If you pray, I'm going to tell you, wallahi, you're going to go to Jannah, inshallah. Because Allah said that, Prophet Muhammad said that. I can prove that, claim. If you fast in the month of Ramadan, I'm saying to you, wallahi, you're going to get forgiven. You're going to go to Jannah. Inshallah, you do the things the right way, the way they're supposed to be done, you're going to go to Jannah because there's proof. I can prove that. I can prove that whatever this religion says, I bring the ayat, I bring the hadith, as it relates to our theology, Muslims, here's the proof. But the Jews and the Christians, they said that today is the day that Isa ibn Maryam, he was crucified on Friday, and after 3 days he woke up and he came back to life. Today, Easter, the day that he came back to life. And today is the biggest, most important celebration to them. Because of that idea, Jesus was crucified on his cross. He died for everybody's sins. Anybody who accepts that, you have everlasting life. So this is bigger than Christmas today. It's the biggest thing they believe today, Easter. Similar to it is the cross. He was crucified on the cross. So I'm going to ask you guys, Isa, all of you, was Jesus crucified on the cross, Ummah al-Islam? Did Jesus get killed? Was he killed, Ummah al-Islam? Little sister, did they kill Jesus? No. So as Muslims, we have our narrative in the Quran, وَقَوْلِهِمْ إِنَّا قَتَلْنَا الْمَسِيحِ عِيسَى بْنَ رَسُولَ اللَّهِ وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ مَا صَلَبُوهُ وَلَكِنْ شُبِّهَ لَهُمْ. And they were bragging. And they were bragging. These people said they won't go to the hellfire. They were bragging and they said, we slaughtered him. We crucified Al-Masih, Isa ibn Maryam. Allah said, they didn't kill him, nor did they crucify him, but it was made to appear like that. Another ayah said, وَمَا قَتَلُوهُ يَقِينًا. With clarity, yaqeen, they did not kill him. Every Muslim understands that. And you're not a Muslim if you don't believe that. So we have no doubt that he wasn't killed. But these people are walking around, they believe the most important thing in their religion is based upon a mere claim. They wouldn't be able to prove it. Not from their book, not from history. The symbol that they believe in. The symbol. The most important symbol. So some of our kids, I'm living in Liverpool, I know those football players, Mo Salah, Sadio Mane. They invite me. I'm not a soccer player. I'm not into it. But I'll go to the game to be an executive booth to eat the food and stuff like that. So I've been there because they help our dawah. To see some of the Muslims who play football that I deal with, the Muslim who scores and he wants to be like those football players, so he does the sign of the cross. Is that permissible after the Muslim scores a goal to do a cross for good luck? Because the cross is kufr and shirk, has nothing to do with our religion. Nothing. There was a man who subsequently became a Muslim. His name was Hatim At-Ta'i. He came to hear Prophet Muhammad's dawah. He was an Arab in Mecca, in Ta'if. He had a cross on his neck. He was a Christian. When the Prophet met him, the Prophet said to him, "Ilqi anka sanam al-jahiliyyah." Take off of your neck this idol of jahiliyyah. So you find the Muslim young boy, his idols are the hip-hop people, so they wear necklaces and things like that. So he wears a necklace with a cross. He gets a tattoo with a cross. He doesn't believe in that cross, but everybody else is doing it, so he thinks it. You know what the Prophet used to do about the cross? If he came into his house, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and something was shaped like a cross accidentally, because no one would bring a cross in his house. But if he saw something in his house and it looked like the shape of a cross, you know what he would do with it? He would break that thing. No one from his family brought the cross in his house. No one. But maybe the way the wood looks, you know, like the thing that we put the Quran on. You know what I'm talking about? Like if you put it, it can look like a cross. Oh, yeah. I'm not saying you should break that in the masjid. I'm saying the way it's looking like a cross, maybe you take it to make sure that Prophet Muhammad would not leave anything in his house that was shaped like a cross. Nothing. Which goes to show it's not permissible for you or me to have a store and to sell crosses or to do anything like that. It's not permissible for you in school to draw the cross and to color in the cross. I don't believe in that. We're not forcing you. We know you're Muslim. You don't believe in that. We just want you to color. Nah, I can't color this. Because Prophet Muhammad would have ripped this paper up. It's part of me holding on to my identity. You could be a Christian. Lakum dinukum waliya din. I'm not going to fight you and disrespect you, but I'm not allowed to draw this cross. Why? Your mother and your father? No. The religion of Islam. Prophet Muhammad wouldn't do this. He wouldn't do that. So my point here, ikhwani, is the most important thing in their religion, the single most important thing, and the most important symbol has nothing to do with reality. It's just a claim. That's a fitnah. When you're worshiping something and you don't know what you're doing, as Allah establishes a fitnah in the Quran. وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَنْ يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ. There are those people who worship Allah and they don't know what they're doing. You guys, we can't afford to be those people. Worshiping Allah and you don't know what you're doing. And the reason why I'm bringing this to you for many reasons. I came into this religion as a revert, like Umar and other brothers. And when we come into the religion, we see the Muslims making a lot of claims. And if you don't have some type of way of moving forward in your religion, a methodology of moving forward, you'll be open up to follow every claim that they're making. A few days ago was the 15th of Sha'ban. You know the 15th of Sha'ban? I'm going to make a claim. I'm going to say the 15th of Sha'ban is a really important day because on that night, Allah forgives everybody from this ummah as long as you don't make shirk. Making shirk means you don't believe number 7 is lucky. You don't believe number 13 is not lucky, Friday the 13th. You don't believe in Halloween. You don't believe in bunny rabbits and Christmas and Easter. You don't believe in all of this shirk and magic. But if you believe in that stuff, taweez and all that, Allah doesn't forgive you. It's an important day. I can make that claim. Allah forgives everybody who doesn't make shirk, and he doesn't have a problem with his Muslim brother or sister, relatives. That's a claim. But on that day, 15th of Sha'ban, The Asian community, they call it Shab Barat. You guys heard of that? Shab Barat? That's what the Asian people call it. It's actually a Persian word, which means the night of purity, the night of al-barat, freeing yourself from problems, because people believe on that night Allah writes down who's going to die. There's no proof. Allah writes down your rizq, your money. No, that's not true. It's not true. So listen to me. Listen to me. There are many claims. Have you people heard of Mirza Ghulam Ahmed? Anybody heard of him? He was a guy, he claimed he was the prophet after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He has a group of people called the Qadianis. I'm not here to bash the Qadianis and talk bad about people. I'm not here for that. But he made a claim, and his claim is and was, he's a Rasul after Rasulullah. So when I hear a claim like that, I'm a new Muslim, I'm going to say, like Allah told Prophet Muhammad, where's the proof of that? I want to see it. Don't just make a claim. You guys heard of the Mahdi? The Mahdi. The Mahdi. There are a lot of people who claim that they were the Mahdi. When I was in America a few years ago, there was a revert brother. He was from Trinidad. He had some issues. They started to come out. We didn't know about it. He was a really honest brother. And when I met him, he was really trying to be a Muslim. He used to drive 40 minutes to pray Salatul Fajr in the masjid. He used to put in satellite dishes for rich people. And he used to take off to pray. And he was giving dawah to these rich Arabs and non-Arab. He was a nice guy. But as he was developing in Islam, he started saying he was the Mahdi. I told him, listen, brother, you can't possibly be the Mahdi. Slow down and relax. You know why you can't be the Mahdi? Because Prophet Muhammad said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the Mahdi is going to come from the lineage of Fatima. And the Mahdi, his name is Muhammad ibn Abdullah. Your name is such and such. You're not Muhammad Abdullah. You're a revert. You're not connected to Fatima. You're a revert from Jamaica. He went to Egypt, and he went in one of those alleyways in Egypt, one of those stores, and he got one of the prophet's lineage, the tree, and he put his name in there. He's going to make himself the Mahdi. He's going to make it fit. And that was his proof. He said, I'm the Mahdi. And we became afraid for this guy. We used to pray Salatul Fajr, and we would hear the door open behind us. We was thinking that guy's going to come in and blast us. So we got to a point where we would leave a brother at the door not praying because this brother was losing his marbles. But the point is, he made a claim. You may have listened to him and say, oh, he's such a truthful guy, such a nice guy. Maybe he is the Mahdi. There was another guy in 1975, 78 in Saudi Arabia. His name was Juhayman. He was a practicing person. And the young people with him were practicing. They cut their thobe short. They had beards, miswak, like some of the people who love the Sunnah in the UK. They're extreme, rough and tough people. But this brother, this man, his name was Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Qahtani. And there was another one, Juhayman. Juhayman said that that guy was the Mahdi. He was the Mahdi. And you know what happened? They went to the Kaaba one morning at Fajr time, and they came to get the bay'at for that man. And when the people didn't give him the bay'at, some did, some didn't. They started shooting the Muslims up at the Kaaba in 1975. And in order to get them out of the Kaaba, because they went in the basement, Saudi Arabian government had to call the French non-Muslims to come in and get them out. They put water there, and then they threw electric wires in there and electrocuted them. But there were a lot of people who followed that man and his claim. People in Iran right now, they believe that the Mahdi has been in a cave for 1,000 years and he's waiting to come out. So when you become a Muslim with the Iranian Shiite Iraq, you believe there's a Mahdi in the cave. No, it's just a claim. Hazir Nader, rubbing the eyes, it's just a claim. So my point here is, we don't want to be of those people who our religion is built upon, people who can just come and they could just make a claim about any and everything. Any and everything. And then you follow them in that. Allah mentioned that as being a tremendous fitnah. And from the fitnah is that there are those people who they worship Allah and they don't know what they are doing. They don't know what they're doing. What happened on London Bridge when the man drove and killed some of those people? What happened on 7/7 when that happened? What happens when Muslims are trying to take the law into their own hands and kill Lee Rigby, and cut him up like that? This stuff is just a claim. It's just a claim. And we say to our youngsters, boys and girls, the only way you'll put yourself in a position where you don't fall into this type of trap and this type of fitna is by you learning the basics of your religion, number one. Number two, being around people who are balanced. People who have a good grasp of al-Islam. They may not memorize all of the Quran, and they may not sit and give fatwas and things like that, but they have general basic knowledge, enough to keep you from doing what the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he told the people about the fitna. He said that his example is like the example of a man who came to a group of people and he is trying to keep them from the fire, and he's holding them by their belts to pull them back, but they want to fall into the fire despite him. He said, like the example of a farash with jarat, like the example of moths. When there's the fire with the moths naturally are attracted to the fire and they fly around the fire because of the heat and the light. It's just their nature. They don't want to go into the fire. It's the light of the fire in the desert when it's dark. The heat of the fire. It is like a magnet. They fly to it and they want to fly around it. But when you fly around it, they go in and they get burnt. He said, that's my example. My example with the people is that he's trying to keep you away from the fire by pulling you away from the fire, telling you, don't go that way, come this way. But the people insist, no, I'm going to fly in the fire, I'm going to fall in the fire. So in regards to the issue of fitnah, the fitnah of changing the meaning and the understanding of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal is a responsibility that every Muslim, whatever his situation is, he's worth his weight, she's worth her weight in salt. That individual has to be an individual who has to come to learn about the basics of the religion. You don't know this religion, then speaking about these other fitting that are going on, these other fitting, those issues are important, they're dangerous, but they're secondary. The primary issue is for a person to be in this religion, practicing this religion in a way that he or she perceives that they're doing the right thing, and then Yawm al-Qiyamah is going to be thrown back at them. That the thing that you were doing was not the right way. You didn't do it the right way, you didn't understand the right way, you didn't practice it the right way, and what's there after that? And then the individual comes Yawm al-Qiyamah and he didn't get the reward for all of his efforts. Now the month of Ramadan is coming. Inshallah, 2 weeks to come. During the month of Ramadan, we're going to make a lot of jihad, a lot of efforts. We're going to come to different masjids, pray more. We're going to be making more efforts. Fast through the course of the day, all of these hours, 14, 15, 16 hours of fasting. Leaving after taraweeh, only you have to come back and start fasting only 2-3 hours after Salatul Taraweeh, 2.5 hours. And then after all of that effort, when the person dies, the Taraweeh was for nothing. Ramadan was for nothing. Because there were things we were doing, things that we weren't doing, that render a person's deeds null and void. So the call here, the message here, and this second talk about the fitnah that I've been assigned is, don't be of the people who you worship Allah and you don't know what you're doing. You're making claims and you're believing in claims, you don't know what you're doing. And there is a formula that you can use, you can always use to save yourself. And that is, when people invite you to do something, whatever it is, and you never heard of that thing, like you heard of the dhikr. Anybody know what dhikr means? What is dhikr?
It's saying the names of Allah.
Dhikr is to remember Allah, Quran, or whatever. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, any dhikr like that. Giving dawah is a dhikr. But some people will make the dhikr of Allah by turning the lights down, putting bukhur, incense, and saying Allah, 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 Huwa, 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 Allah, Allah. See the little boy? He was naturally started doing like this. He doesn't know anything about that, but that is what it makes people do, and that's what they do. Allah, 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 huwa, huwa. So some people come and say, listen, Allah said that the dhikr of Allah will benefit you and give you a lot of proofs about the dhikr of Allah. Come and make the dhikr with us. You say, I never heard that being done like that. The way you protect yourself is you always say to people, okay, I want to do it. But can you show me where Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali did that particular thing? Have you people heard of the khidmah? The khidmah is where you have a relative who died, and then after 40 days after his death, we come together and we have a dinner and celebrate and remember him. And you heard of that thing? We say, okay, I want to do that. But where did Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali, where did they do that? Radiyallahu anhu. You people heard of the Yarmi? You never heard of the Yarmi? Asian people, the Yarmi. It's a famous thing. On Thursday, last Thursday of the month, the souls of the dead people come down. So the Maulvi Sahib comes, he blesses the food, and we eat the food and stuff like that, and is paying homage and respect to the souls of the dead. And it's a big thing. And we give the Maulvi Sahib a lot of money for coming and blessing the food. We want to do that. That's beautiful. We want to do it. And when I say Brawis and Maulvi Sahibs, I don't mean to have a go at them. I'm just saying that's the reality. And then if you say that and a person happens to be from that maslak, that madhab, that persuasion, he'll get mad at you. Don't get mad at me. Just bring the proof so that we can call the people to it and we can support it and we can do it. Don't let your religion be the religion where you don't know what you're doing. You're doing it because everybody else is doing it. You're doing it because it feels good to you. You're doing it because you heard, or you're doing it because you read a hadith, but that hadith was a fabricated hadith. It was a weak hadith. So he told us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the most beloved deeds to Allah are the things that you do consistently, even if you don't do a lot of them. But if you do it consistently and it's a little bit, Allah loves that more than doing a deed which has a lot of things you do to it, but you only do it once in a blue moon. So keep your religion simple and easy, like the religion that the Prophet brought, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it is the religion where people know what they're doing. I told you earlier about Hanzala. Hanzala said, I think I'm a munafiq. I think I am a munafiq. Because when I'm with the Prophet, I feel this way. But when I'm not awake with him, I feel that way. What did the companions do? They said, let's go ask him. And they went to the Prophet ﷺ. They wanted to ascertain, why is this and what is this? That's what you have to do. Before you put your feet down somewhere, you have to ask, is that something that I should be doing, not can be doing? And if so, where's the proof? And then the person presents you with the proof. That's not enough. Show me where Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, and Ali and the rest of those companions understood that proof and they practiced that proof the way you're calling me to it or you're asking me to do it. If that's not present, then no, you're on a religion other than the religion that Prophet Muhammad brought, sallallahu alaihi wa ala alihi wasallam. So we're going to stop here, inshallah. Our 40 minutes, our 45 minutes. We're going to give you guys, sisters as well, an opportunity to ask questions that you have, inshallah. Maybe during the Q&A session, we'll have a robust discussion about those issues that came up during the course of the 2 lectures. We will hope that the questions, first and foremost, are questions dealing with the 2 lectures about fitnah, because now other things can come into play from what wasn't mentioned. But if you have general questions and we have the ability to answer them, to deal with them, we'll do that as well. And Allah is a'la wa a'la.
Sheikh. Just a quick announcement. If any sisters downstairs have got questions, if you could write them. And I think one of the brothers will come downstairs and collect the written questions and we can post them to the Sheikh. Brothers, if anybody has a question, put your hand up, inshallah, and I'm sure the Sheikh will do his best to answer. Yeah? Okay, we'll go down in a few minutes. Let them write out anything they need to. Fadl.
Is there any category or difference between somebody who is born into fitnah, for example, if they have a disability that they're born with, versus somebody if they're 30 years old and they become disabled or something like that, or are inflicted something that is the same, but somebody is born with it versus somebody later on in life develops it.
The brother's asking a question about, is there a distinction between the fitnah that people have to go through? For an example, having a special need, what they call handicap. But I don't think that's politically correct to call people that. And it's not Islamically correct. As Allah Azza wa Jalla said, إنها لا تعمى القلوب ولكن تعمى إنها لا تعمى الأبصار ولكن تعمى القلوب التي في الصدور. It is not the eyes that are blind, but it is the hearts and in their chests that are blind. So some people are blind, they're not handicapped, they can see. Some people have eyes and they can't see. So is it the same? The fitna of being blind. A person is born with his blindness, and then there's the person who was not born with it, but he became blind. Is there a difference? Of course there's a difference. Of course there's not the same. They're not the same. Allah asked the rhetorical question, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Are they equal, those who know and those who don't know? They're not the same. They're not the same. But there's a hadith that gives us a general principle as it relates to these issues. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and you remember this hadith, إِنَّمَا الْجَزَاءُ عَلَى قَدْرِ النُّصُبَّ. إِنَّمَا الْجَزَاءُ عَلَى قَدْرِ النُّصُبِ. Your reward will be comparable to the difficulty, to the level of difficulty that you have to go through. That's a general principle that comes to us from that hadith. So the fitna that the person is dealing with, if they're dealing with the same fitna, the one who can't see but he has people around him to assist him, is not the same as the one who can't see, who is counterpart, but he doesn't have people around who can help him. And that's the one who doesn't have people around is going to get more reward, inshallah, because it's more difficult. It's more difficult. So the more difficulty that a person has to go through, for an example, the one who's born not being able to see, not being able to walk, from day one, he never knew what it felt like to be able to walk and be able to see. Whereas the other person who used to know what it was to be able to walk, be able to see, be able to hear, so forth, so on. Once he lost that ability to do that, the effect and the impact on his psyche is going to be greater than the one who didn't know. So the general rule is, the more difficulty that a person goes through, he has to go through, it's going to determine his reward. So the one who has to walk to this masjid and he takes 20 steps, it's not like the one who has to walk to the masjid and he has to take 100 steps. The people who are fasting the month of Ramadan for 18, 19 hours, not like the people who fast in the month of Ramadan for 10 hours. Not the same. It's not the same. The more difficulty and the more trials and tribulations that person has to deal with, it's not the same. And that is based on what we mentioned as well earlier. The people who get the most fitna, the most trials and tribulations, are the prophets and the messengers. Why? Because they, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim ajma'in, they have to go through more than what everybody else has to go through. When the Prophet was dying, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he was suffering. He had to tie his head up with like something like a bandage. They say, Ya Rasulullah, we see that you're really suffering. He said, yes. Inni ru'aku kawaki ithnaini minkum. I have double the pain that you people have to go through. I go through double the pain. Why? Because when he goes to the Jannah and the Maqam al-Mahmud, he's being prepared for a place that no one else is going to occupy that place. He's going to be in a special place. So he's cleaned up more than what anybody and everybody else has to be cleaned up because of his manzala, the place that he's going to be at. So in a nutshell, the more problems, the more people have to go through, the more the reward is for being patient. But I have to add this on, provided they don't create that problem for themselves. So right here is the mosque. He's going to walk 10 feet. He's going to walk 10 feet. Now someone's going to drive all the way from Birmingham to here to say, I got more steps coming to the mosque. No. You're making things unnecessarily difficult for yourself, and you don't get rewarded for that. You get punished for making things difficult for yourself. So the way that the qadr is, Allah put that on you. He decreed that on you. Then you'll get more reward depending upon how difficult the thing is that any person had to go through. And Allah is a'la and a'la.
Any other questions?
Hi. Over the last couple of years, we've noticed that a lot of people are actually turning into Shia. So what's the best way to sort of, stay away from obviously, getting convinced, and also how to sort of give them dawah?
How do we avoid falling into some of these groups, whether it's Shiite or these groups that are not upon the true Islam? A number of things. Number one, and at the top of the list, is that we should always make dua to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Because as long as a person is living, he is not safe from fitnah. That's what the righteous predecessors used to say. La ya'min al-hay min al-fitnah. As long as you are living, you are not protected from al-fitnah. And al-fitnah here can be shirk. Fitnah here can be leaving the religion. So there were some men with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They were companions. They saw the water coming out of his fingers. They saw different miracles. They saw the moon split. And so you just look at all those miracles that everybody knows about. Eating the meat, and the meat telling him there's poison in this meat. Stop eating it and tell him. They saw those things. And when he came from Al-Isra wa Mi'raj, he came back. He said, I went to the heavens last night. A lot of people apostated. And they were companions. So that means you, me, we all could apostate. And so Allah made a command in the Quran, فَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةَ الَّذِينَ لَا تُصِيبَنَّ فَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةً الَّتِي لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَّةً. Beware of the fitna that just doesn't hit the people who did it, but because the fitna is there, everybody is going to be affected by that particular thing. So when those people apostated, other people apostated. And they were companions. So we got to make dua. So when the Prophet used to make sajda, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to say, Oh Allah, turn up the hearts. Establish my heart on this deen. And a lot could be said about that. Second of all, we have to get knowledge. We have to get knowledge of the basics of this religion. So once a person gets knowledge of the religion, he knows what's right and he knows what's not right. And he knows that the way of at-tashayyur, Shia, Iran, Iraq, cursing the companions, believing Ali, all of this, he knows this is not right. But if he doesn't have knowledge, he'll just believe any claim. So he has to get knowledge. Number three, he has to avoid mixing with those people. This is a principle in our religion that the Prophet brought, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Don't mix with people who are not right in what they believe. And don't mix with people who are criminals. And don't mix with people who are not practicing. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, إِنَّ الْمَرْءَ عَلَى دِينِ خَلِيلِهِ فَلْيَنْظُرْ أَحَدُكُمْ لِمَنْ يُخَالِلْ. A person will be on the religion of his friend. So let each and every one of you pay attention who you take as your friend. Right? So when you get married, or you marry your daughter off, you can't marry her to people who are going to change their religion. And that happened to some of the great scholars of Islam. And Imam Bukhari, he has a sheikh who they told him, don't marry into that family. Those people curse the companions. They're off the Shiite. He said, don't worry, I'm going to change him. He got married, and he turned down, he started cursing the companions himself. So you avoid those people. It's not your job to give dawah. It's not my job to give dawah. Just avoid them. Just because we're anti-sociable? No. Because the Prophet told you that in a number of hadith. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, firru min al-majdhum fararaka min al-asad. Run away from the one who has leprosy the way you run away from a lion. So if a guy is coming with leprosy, you're going to sit there and say, hey man, come here, let me see your leprosy, man. I see your skin falling off and your meat is stinking. Let me see. Well, no, you're going to get leprosy. He says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the camel that has worms and diseases should not be allowed to drink from the same trough, the same drinking, the barrel that the camel who is well. The both of them shouldn't drink from the same one. Why? Why is that? Because his disease is going to get into the well, the good one. La yuritu. This one who is sick, he has it in his knees, in his legs, in his nose, in his mouth. That's what happened with the camels. He said, once you see that, don't let him come and drink from here, because he's going to contaminate them. So the one who has these crazy ideas, he's going to contaminate you. Go the other way. Another example is Dajjal. Prophet Muhammad said, when the Dajjal comes and you hear about him, go the other way. He said, because one of you would think that you're on a strong level of deen, but when you go to listen to him because you're inquisitive, you'll go and lo and behold, you're going to say, yes, he's right. That's my Lord. That is Allah. And before you know it, you'll be saying that Dajjal is Allah. Right now you won't say that, but when he tricks the people. So what you have to do, get in the wind and go the other way. It's not your job. Lastly, how do we give dawah to those people? We let the people who know them and have the ability to give dawah to them, give dawah to them. That's me. It's not my job. My job is not to give you dawah. Especially today. Because these people can bring a lot of ambiguous issues, shubahat, and they can make you doubt your religion. Atheists, Shiite people, they can bring a lot of doubts. There's an authentic hadith, Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, that the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I leave behind 2 khalifas, Bukhari and Muslim. I leave behind for you people 2 khalifas. Hold on to them. You will never go astray as long as you hold on to them. The book of Allah, Amma Ahlul Bayt. Amma Ahlul Bayt. Amma Ahlul Bayt. Udhakkirukum Allah fi Ahlul Bayt. He said 3 times. I remind you about Ahlul Bayt, Ahlul Bayt, Ahlul Bayt. That's in Bukhari and Muslim. It's in Bukhari and Muslim. And they can bring things like that. And a person who has not been well grounded in his religion, he can start doubting what he's doing. So avoid that and leave dawah to them for other people. That's not your job. A job, Allah made it your job. Educate yourself, educate your wife, educate your children, educate your family members. As for the Shiite, those people, but maybe you know someone. I'm not saying your relatives or Shiite, you just leave them like that. I'm saying don't put your heart in your ears in the firing line where you can become a goal and objective where people take you off of your square. Allah knows best.
Question from the sisters. Please can you give some advice, some words of advice for our teenagers who want to practice Islam, even though their Muslim friends do not always try to?
As for the question, the Muslim teenagers who want to practice Islam, but their Muslim friends don't want to practice Islam, I think this issue goes back as well to what we were speaking about watching who you are hanging out with. Prophet gave a beautiful example, an analogy, a simile, a metaphor, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, مثل الجليس الصالح والجليس السوء كمثل باعي الطيب. The example of the righteous person who you sit with and the irreligious person who you sit with is like the example of the person who sells perfumes and the person who is nafikh al-kir, the one who works with the bellows, the blacksmithman. He said, if you take the guy who sells perfume and you go there, you'll either buy from him his perfume or he'll give you some and you go away smelling good. Whereas the other guy who's working as a blacksmith with the iron and the bellows, when you go with him, he's going to burn your clothes. He hits the thing and the spark goes onto you, burn your clothes. And if that doesn't happen, when you leave his presence, because you were in that environment of smoke, you're going to smell like smoke. So that's his way of saying, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, stay with the people who are practicing the religion, and they'll help you to practice the religion. I made a reference earlier to the man who killed 100 people. After killing 99 people, he said, I want to make Tawbah. Can I make Tawbah? They say, yeah, you can make Tawbah. Go over to that man. He worships Allah. He's a religious man in the community. Tell him. He went to that man and said, I want to make Tawbah. He said, you can't make Tawbah. You killed 99 people. You're done. You're stuck. The man killed him, made him 100. Came back and said, look, I told you people, I want to make Tawbah. I want to make Tawbah. They said, okay, there's a scholar. Go ask him. Scholar said, sure, you can make Tawbah. What will prevent you from making Tawbah? But if you're really sincere, then, if you want to practice and make Tawbah, then leave this environment where these bad people are. And go to this city where the good people are. Go there and do good with them. And he proceeded to go. And he died on the way. And because of his intention was to go to be over there, Allah raised him up and put him in the Jannah. Again, the statement was, leave these bad people. Leave these bad people who are here. Last example that I give you guys is that ayat that I mentioned. That Allah mentioned to our mother Aisha radiyallahu anha. Aisha read the ayah, فَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةٍ لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ فَاتَّقُوا فِتْنَةٍ لَا تُصِيبَنَّ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا مِنْكُمْ خَاصَةً. Beware of the fitna that will hit you, and it won't just hit the people who did it. One of his wives, it was Aisha, one of his wives said, Ya Rasulullah, will we be held accountable for what the evil people do? He said, yes. Yes. And then he told him the story about what's going to happen with the Mahdi. When the Mahdi comes out, there's going to be a group of people who are going to go to destroy the Mahdi and to fight against him. And when they come to a place called Al-Bayda, halfway between Mecca and Medina, when they arrive at that place, Allah is going to cause the earth to open up and swallow up the army that was going to get the Mahdi, and swallow up the people who are around that army as well. So Aisha said, Ya Rasulullah, but those people, they weren't trying to get the Mahdi. They just happened to be there. Doing what? They were coming selling to the soldiers shoestrings and shoes and milk. They just trying to make money. Their niyat is not the Mahdi. They just want to get benefit. But when the ground opened up, there was no sorting things out. Prophet Muhammad said they will all be destroyed. Then Yawm al-Qiyamah, Allah will raise them up based upon their niyat. So if you're hanging out with people who are not practicing the religion, one of them does something, you didn't have anything to do with it. But when the police come knock on your door, they're going to charge you for murder. They're going to charge you for selling drugs. They're going to charge you for rape, gang rape, and you were not even there. When they want to come and get revenge against your friend who's not practicing, and you in the house, they're going to come in the house and they're going to shoot everybody, and you're going to be there. That's just an example. We don't hope that. May Allah protect you from that. So if you want to practice the religion, then get your own self together and avoid those people who are not practicing religion, because unfortunately a lot of people who are not practicing the religion, they really don't want to see you practicing, and birds of a feather flock together. You know, two opposites, they don't work like that. If you're trying to practice and somebody else is trying to practice, something is going to happen. And this is one of the reasons why the Muslim lady is not allowed to marry the non-Muslim man. Because the man is usually going to be stronger in his personality and physically than the lady. Will usually follow him. So Islam saying no. Whereas it allowed the Muslim man to marry the Muslim lady because usually he's going to be strong in his personality and in his ability and power. So it's hope that the Jewish lady, Christian lady is going to follow him and not the other way around. As Allah mentioned in the Quran. Those people called to the hellfire. Those non-Muslim mates, men, and Allah calls you to His rahmah and to His maghfirah.
Some advice how the youth, how the Muslim youth can recognize fitna in today's time. How some signs for the youngsters.
Well, as it relates to some signs how the youth can recognize fitna today, I think first at the top of the list you should realize that, as he says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there's not a year except that the year that comes after it is worse than the one that went before it. So right now we're living at the worst time. So this is the worst time for a person to be a youngster, to be a teenager. This is the worst time. Every time a new year comes, the new year is worse than the one that went before it until Yomul Qiyamah. So this is the worst time. As a result of that, you guys are dealing with a lot of things that people before you, your parents, we didn't have to deal with a lot of these trials and tribulations. And during our time, there was a lot of fitna, but not like it is right now. Not like it is right now. So we have to know that. Number two, one of the signs of Yom Al-Qiyamah is things are going to be topsy-turvy. The truth is going to look like falsehood. Falsehood is going to be looking like the truth, resembling the truth. What's correct is going to be looked at as what's wrong. What's wrong is going to be looked at as being correct. Islam is going to be looked at as being something bad, and what's bad is going to be looked at as something good. Tawheed is shirk, shirk is tawheed. Innovation is the sunnah, sunnah is the... So that's the general rule, that things are not what they really appear to be. And that's why when the Dajjal comes, it's just a lot of trickery. It's not real. It's not real. So when you look out and you look at things through the prism of the vast majority of the things that I'm hearing and I'm seeing, it's really not like that. Now, you can't look at people you meet for the first time and you say, I don't believe him, he's lying. You can't be like that. But you have to take things with a grain of salt. What you see is not what you get in most instances. Not what you get. So that's the general rule. What you hear and what you see is not, most of the time, is not true. So everything you're going to have guarded optimism about everything. Number three, as a young person, the more you learn about your religion, you'll find that the Prophet explained everything that we need to know. That's what the Quran said. وَنَزَّلْنَا الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. We sent down this book and it explains everything. So if you have a good understanding of the Quran, you don't have to be a scholar, but you've been reading about your religion. The Quran explains everything. Quran is going to explain, this is a fitna over here. By virtue of your knowledge of the religion, you'll know this is a fitna. I'll give you an example about New Zealand. You know that lady in New Zealand, the Prime Minister? Were you guys impressed with the way she handled that situation? I was impressed. Were you guys impressed? She came across with rahmah, understanding. She gave it a human side. She was hugging some of the women who are lost their loved ones and things. She supported the Muslims. And then 1 week, she changed the gun laws. She was very clear. Unlike the President of the United States of America, she did a lot of stuff. I was impressed with her as a person. One brother met her and he was talking to her. I thought the lady was going to accept Islam, the way she was acting. And I also thought he was going to say, are you married as well? Because he was really close with her. He was really about that thing. But now we started hearing Muslims say, wow, she should get the Nobel Peace Prize. Wow. No, that's a fitna. That's a fitna because as a Muslim, you can't just look at that one thing right there. There are principles that we live our lives by. For an example, none of you truly believes till you love for your brother what you love for yourself. The example of the Muslims and their love for each other, their rahmah for each other, and their mercy to each other is like the example of one body. If one part of the body aches, the rest of the body aches. Whoever loves for Allah, hates for Allah, gives for Allah, hates not gives, is true iman. The strongest ura, awthaq ur al-Islam, al-hub fillah wal-bughd fillah. The strongest band of Islam, al-iman, love and hate for Allah. So now, what is that lady's position about Palestine? What is the New Zealand position about Palestine? So in Palestine, New Zealand signed off on being culpable and being complicit in what's going on in Palestine. So I'm going to forget about that and say Nobel Peace Prize? No, that's a fitna. Because there are aspects of my religion that say I can't just judge her just based on that shooting, that mass murder that happened. There are other things I can judge on, like that lady from Burma. What's her name again? It's that lady. She won the Nobel Peace Prize from Burma. And those monks, those Burmese monks who were killing the Muslims right now, genocide in Burma. What's that place called? Myanmar? Place called? That lady was quiet. She didn't say anything about that. She allowed it. And they were saying, we're going to take a peace prize, right? But they didn't take it away. But they used to look at her as being meek and humble, and no. She allowed that to happen. So that's a fitnah. So when the Muslim allows himself to engage in his religion, learn his religion, he's going to put herself in a position where you'll be able to have the right concepts to know this is a fitnah. And one of the meanings of fitnah is you can't always really see and distinguish the reality of it. And that's why they used to say that the scholars in Islam, they see the fitnah before it comes. Before it comes, the scholars used to say, don't revolt against the rulers. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't revolt against the rulers. They used to say that. Don't do it before it would happen. So the scholars say, in the past, the scholars and people of knowledge, they can see the fitnah before it comes. But the regular people, they see the fitnah when it goes or when it gets there. Then they start saying, oh, this is a fitnah. Yeah, it's a fitnah now, but people with insight and knowledge, they see it before it comes. Not because they have knowledge of the unseen, but they know knowledge. They have knowledge of the religion. Knowledge of the religion. So knowledge of religion puts a person in a unique position, to be able to distinguish these types of issues. And Allah knows best.